This is a Zelkova serrata, often referred to as a Japanese grey bark elm. It is absolutely not an elm, and it is also not the plant that is typically found in nurseries, Zelkova Bonsai, because those are Chinese elms. And it grows very, very nice fine twigging. Now this tree has been wired for the last time, I think 2 years ago, and since then I've started to develop it as a purely clip and grow. And I thought, it's fall, let's prune this out, show you how I prune a clip and grow Zelkova in a fairly refined state. This over summer has been pruned twice. I've pruned back everything that grew long, but you can already see the top has gotten quite heavy. And why? Because there's still a very big cut here that I want to close. Similarly in the back I have a big cut that I want to close. This came out of a very big forest that I inherited, and this was left over when I put the forest back together. So I'm now developing it as a single tree. I have my regular clippers, small concave clippers. I have cut paste, but I'm not going to use it for this tree. The cuts are all going to be very small. And with the last sun of the day setting, let's get this all done. Here, this branch I've let extend for the season, and I've pruned it back once or twice, but this will have increased the sap flow going down, therefore aiding in healing the wound further down. Here you can see a big cut that I made earlier this year. That's ugly, so that needs to go. This has a nice directional change, but this all is very long, straight, and without any movement. So, well, I could go all the way here and say, now this is better. But what you do get now is that this direction is moving the tree even further to the right. And I actually don't want to, I want the top to come to the left, so I'm going to go down all the way to this branch. And this is now determined. This is the height of the tree for the next season. Having determined the height of the tree, I can of course now start looking here at this top area and say, well, this is the tallest branch. Let's remove everything but 2 buds of this year. Then this is way too tall as well. And why is it too tall? Well, because this branch is actually dominant over this top and I don't want that. So I'm going to remove this whole branch, including part of the segment here, because it actually has gotten quite thick. Similarly, below here there's a very long branch, which I'm just going to shorten to 2 nodes. Now this height is done, but look at this. There's something odd here happening as well. And let me get you a little bit closer. This is the top I want to keep. And this is where I pruned it earlier this year, and there as well, and there as well. So this whole section is actually not very pretty. And I'm just going to go in, cut this one off, and cut this one off. Now this is also not very pretty, because now I've got a big lump. It means that I'm going to go all the way down and cut the whole lump off. Just like that. Here you see also an area that was cut multiple times. Now I can remove the whole thing because there's a nice little side branch here in the back. So I go in here and I say, well, this is the cluster of branches that I want to get rid of, and I'm going to just prune this off all the way at the base of this branch, and there's a small branch here in the back as well. I'm just cutting it off like this. Now this is all nice and smooth. I am actually going to have to use some cut paste. Now this is very long. Reduce this a little bit. Here the same, this has gotten very long. And reduce it a little bit. This is okay, but this is crossing here. And now this branch is all done for pruning. Can remove this old dead cut stumps. And I need to get some cut paste on there. So this aids in healing, but also ensures that it doesn't dry out too quickly so that these branches don't die off. So the top is now pretty much cleaned up, and now I can start looking at these branches. So this is also a branch that's gotten quite strong. There's a nice little side branch here. This is an old stump from where I pruned, and I pruned this off completely. Then here, 2 crossing branches. I'm going to keep both of them quite short. And this one also a lot shorter, and I don't want this to grow vertical, so I'm going to reduce it to 1 or 2 buds. So this is also pruned, and here in the back you can now see this is too tall, and I'll just prune it back to the first side branch and prune that to 2 buds. This is now all done.
I have this here that's quite long, but I'm not going to remove too much because I don't want to ruin the full ramification. And here there's lots of young buds. This is actually on the spot where I would like to have a branch, but here I don't want two branches that close to each other. Now this area is all pruned out. Let's continue to this branch. You see here, this is all grown up. I don't want this to get too strong. I don't want to create big marks either, so I'm just going to cut this to these two side branches, shorten this, shorten, and remove some of the ramification here. Now this is a lot lighter, and there's a little branch here coming down in the back, which I'm just going to bring back to two buds. Here also the vertical one I take out, and I will just reduce these extensions. And here I'm going to go back to 2 side branches instead of 4. I reduce this a little bit. And here there's another old cut scar. Smoothing that out. And then also this branch is all completely done. Put the cut paste away again, otherwise I get branches in there. Now I am actually sitting looking from a sideway view, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Branches like this are very long, they're very strong, and I remove those. I remove everything that has grown more than 2 or 3 buds, and I'm cutting them back to these 2 or 3 buds. Everything that comes up very much, I remove at the base, and I just continue with one of the side branches. Now here there's a whole cluster of little branches, all coming from the bottom of the branch, and they just fill up the canopy, and I can just gently with my fingers pull them off. That way this area is also opened up a lot more. This is still a fairly long branch. I'm going to remove that. And then we're ending up here at this section. This is actually quite an annoying little branch. And I don't see a way of keeping it because it is getting quite thick. And it is parallel to the branch next to it. See this branch quite clearly. This is straight coming up and competing with the branch next to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm in this case just going to remove the whole thing. Now with the light fading, I need to be a little bit quicker than I've been so far. So I'm just going to go and do exactly what I just did. Removing things that are actually quite long. I'm reducing those in length. Anywhere where there's more than 2 branches in one spot or 1 branch in a side branch, I'm removing everything else. Downward pointing branches I'm trying to keep, so they aid in downward movement. And upward growing branches I'm removing as much as possible without, of course, removing the branches that I need to keep the canopy structure. Now Zelkova is a nice species because it very, very willingly buds. So even if you remove a branch that you shouldn't have removed, it will most likely bud again, very close to the place where you had a bud originally. Now, as you can maybe tell, I'm trying to keep the branches longer than I kept them above, but shorter than the one below, so that I get a naturally formed dome of all these side branches. Branches like this, that grow through the canopy inwards, are undesirable, but I'm not removing everything. I'm also keeping a few quirky ones. The quirky ones are in fact what makes up an interesting bonsai. If everything is perfectly laid out and perfectly shaped, your tree will get really, really boring. So that's a warning. Don't remove everything that is wrong in a tree. Leave a few of these mistakes in, and your tree will be all the more interesting. And that's what we all want, right? Interesting trees. I try to prune towards directional changes, so if I can go to a side branch that has a different angle, I will. Because that way you also create the feeling of age. All branches are not straight. All branches have little twists and turns. Now this is an interesting one. This one grows all the way across the trunk, but it has a nice little side branch, so here also I'm removing quite a bit. This interferes with the one above it. This is one of those quirky branches that I'm leaving in place. So it comes from the side branch and it goes below itself and comes out on the other side. I think it will be okay. Here I have multiple layers and I want to keep those layers. So I'm just going to remove a few of these branches, but I'm not going to do anything drastic here. Making sure this is kept. This shouldn't get too long. Just something like this. If you don't recognize the tree, I flipped it around. So I was working on this side of the tree. I've now turned it around so I can get to this side. And here there's a lot of these old pruning scars that need some cleaning up. Basically in spring I did a big prune back and I just left little stumps in place. And in summer I never got back to this tree to clean it up. Some of you may have noticed I had a few health challenges, so I'm running behind in some of my maintenance tasks of my bonsai. Thus also cleaning up of old pruning sites didn't happen this year in my trees. And as a result, some of these trees are a little bit unkempt at the moment. As you can tell, this is really not rocket science perfection. This is just quick pruning of your whole tree so that it's ready for the next season. This is an interesting one. Remove the double branching. Look at that. All the way from there. I'm just going to keep 2 buds. Removing the one down low because there's a nice branch here. Removing the ones here on top. That's an ugly cut. That's a double branch. Now it's a lot better. Just make sure that I don't go too deep into the tree. All cleaned up. This one is an interesting branch coming from the main trunk. I think I might keep it. So next year I can develop this further. This is too long. I think you can now slowly see this tree taking shape, right? If you do have any recommendations where I miss a pruning, do shout out and I can quickly still do that. I'm wondering, do you like this style of video where I'm pruning the whole tree out and showing you just how I work? Should I do more of these? And actually, if this is the first time visiting my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, drop me a line while you haven't subscribed. Or subscribe now, of course. Yeah, just let me know, encourage me. How do I make videos that you find most attractive, most appealing to watch? And I'll try to do my best to adjust my videos to your wishes. Of course, if it doesn't fit my personal style at all, then I'm just not going to. But that makes sense, right? I also need to like the video. And this sort of clumps, they occur when you have pruned a branch and then not really cleaned up afterwards and you've allowed all the buds to sprout. And I'm just going to remove the half going upwards. Just like that, and now the whole clump is gone and you just have this one branch with a side branch here a little bit below and one coming up, and you can remove that one as well. And now this whole clump has been cleaned up and it becomes a natural line of the tree again. So this is what I do when I clean up the tree. And now basically all that's left to do is just remove all the loose leaves. And this tree is ready to go back into the garden for the rest of winter. So this was just a very quick prune. I think it's looking pretty good. This shouldn't be there. But besides that, this is all done for now. And yeah, a lot more neat, right? So you don't always need wiring to create a nice organized tree. There's no branches anymore that grow from the bottom going all the way up. All the branches come out. But one of the requirements for a good clip and grow is of course that you use a tree species that really likes to bud, that back buds really well, and that creates lots of fine twigging. And Zelkova, but also elms, do that really, really well. So this for me is a clip and grow species once you have the main branches set in place. So these I once wired in place, and the rest I just do by pruning. I remove everything that I don't like. I try to really keep the top in check in summer. Doesn't always work. And yeah, that's it. This pot of course is ugly. I need a different pot. If you have any suggestions for a better pot, let me know, because this is really, really not pretty. This was Jelle, Pruning Bonsai, Clip and Grow, Zelkova in full. See you next time. Oh, before you go, if you haven't subscribed, please do that, and otherwise, I don't know, what video would you like to see? This is my latest one, and this is one, a general one, developing young stock, where to cut. That might be actually very nice if you are curious about how to develop young stock. See you next time.